A lottery security consultant just revealed something that could protect your entire jackpot, and what he's saying about the people who target recent winners will shock you. There are 8 specific types of people you need to watch out for, and according to former lottery officials, if you can't identify these individuals, you could lose millions of dollars before you even realize what's happening. Person number 1, the long-lost relative. Former financial advisors who work with lottery winners report that this is the most common threat, and it happens faster than you'd think. Meet Sarah, a 42-year-old nurse from Ohio, who won $4.2 million in the Powerball drawing back in 2019. Within 48 hours of her name being announced publicly, a distant cousin she hadn't seen in 15 years showed up at her doorstep. This cousin claimed there was a family emergency and needed $50,000 immediately. When Sarah hesitated, the cousin threatened a lawsuit, claiming that Sarah's deceased grandmother had made a verbal promise years ago about helping family members if anyone ever came into money. According to legal documentation from lottery attorneys, about 67% of lottery winners report being contacted by estranged family members within the first month after their win becomes public. These people exploit guilt, family obligation, and shared history to manipulate winners into handing over cash. Sarah ended up spending $12,000 in legal fees defending herself against a completely baseless claim that was eventually dismissed. But here's what makes this particularly insidious. The cousin knew exactly what he was doing, and he knew that even a failed lawsuit would cost Sarah thousands in legal expenses. And if you think family members are bad, wait until you hear about person number 2, the investment expert. Former lottery officials say this person appears within the first week and they come prepared. James, a 56-year-old construction worker from Florida, won $8.6 million in a Mega Millions drawing in 2021. 3 days after his win was announced, he was approached at a gas station by someone claiming to be a financial advisor. This person promised to triple James's money through a cryptocurrency venture and presented impressive credentials that seemed completely legitimate. James was convinced and invested $890,000. Those credentials were later discovered to be fabricated, and James lost every single dollar within 6 months. Industry insiders report that 43% of large lottery winners are approached by unlicensed investment advisors within 30 days of their win. These people create urgency by saying things like, "This opportunity won't last," and they use technical jargon to seem credible, exploiting the winner's inexperience with managing large sums of money. But here's where it gets really disturbing. Person number 3 is so calculated that several lottery lawyers stated they see this exact pattern in almost every major jackpot case. Person number 3, the romantic interest. This one is particularly insidious according to victim advocates who work with lottery winners, and the pattern is so consistent, it's almost like these people are following a script. Remember how James lost that $890,000 to the fake investment advisor? Here's what happened to another winner in an even more devastating way. Maria, a 34-year-old divorced teacher from Texas, won $12.3 million in 2020. 2 weeks after claiming her prize, she met an attractive stranger at an upscale restaurant in Dallas. The connection felt instant and real. They started dating, and within 1 month, this person had moved into Maria's newly purchased home. Over the following months, her new partner slowly gained access to her bank accounts under the guise of helping manage her money and handle day-to-day finances. 8 months into the relationship, this person disappeared with $2.1 million. According to legal documentation from lottery attorneys, romantic scams target 31% of single jackpot winners, and the timeline is remarkably consistent. Industry insiders report that the average approach happens within 15 to 20 days of the public announcement. The average relationship duration before theft occurs is 6 to 9 months, and the average amount stolen is $780,000. These people create emotional dependency. They isolate the winner from legitimate advisors and family members. They use intimacy to gain financial access gradually, and they exploit the winner's desire to share their happiness with someone. Maria's case took 3 years to prosecute, and she recovered only $340,000 of the money that was stolen. And speaking of people who gain your trust slowly, person number 4 uses a method that former FBI agents call the most sophisticated lottery scam they've ever documented. This is the charity representative, and former lottery winners report that this person seems impossible to refuse. Robert, a 61-year-old retired firefighter from Pennsylvania, won $6.7 million in 2018. Within 3 weeks, he was contacted by a representative from what appeared to be a legitimate children's hospital charity. Robert was shown heart-wrenching photos of sick children and was even introduced to some of these children at a hospital visit that seemed completely authentic. He was pressured into making a $500,000 donation at a public ceremony that was covered by local media. The charity was later discovered to be completely fake, and those sick children were paid actors. Internal reports from state attorney general offices indicate that 89% of major lottery winners receive charity solicitations within the first 60 days after their win, and an estimated 22% of these solicitations come from fraudulent organizations. The average fraudulent request amount is $250,000. These scammers exploit the winner's desire to be seen as generous. They use social pressure through public ceremonies and media coverage. They create guilt through emotional imagery, and they make refusal seem selfish or heartless. But here's what makes this particularly difficult to defend against. Legitimate charities also approach lottery winners, which makes it nearly impossible to distinguish between real and fake organizations. But real charities can provide IRS 501c3 documentation, but scammers have learned to forge these documents convincingly. Robert never recovered any of his money, and he told investigators that the shame of being fooled was almost worse than losing the $500,000. But what makes person number 5 particularly dangerous is that this individual is legally protected in ways that will shock you. Person number 5. The lawsuit happy acquaintance. This one exploits the legal system itself, and according to lottery attorneys, there's almost nothing you can do to prevent it. Michael, a 47-year-old accountant from California, won $15.2 million in 2019. 4 months after his win was announced, a former coworker filed a lawsuit claiming they had a lottery pool agreement. No written documentation existed. No emails. No text messages. Nothing. The coworker claimed there had been a verbal agreement from 3 years prior, even though Michael had never participated in any office lottery pool during his entire time at that company. According to legal analysis from attorneys who specialize in lottery cases, 41% of winners face at least one lawsuit within the first year after their win. If the average cost to defend against these claims is $85,000, even when the lawsuits are completely baseless. These cases take an average of 18 to 24 months to resolve, and many winners end up settling for $50,000 to $200,000 just to avoid the prolonged litigation. These people exploit the legal system's presumption that anyone can file a claim. They bank on the winner choosing a settlement over a lengthy court battle. They use the discovery process to invade the winner's financial privacy, and they create a public spectacle to pressure a settlement. Here's the cruel irony. It's completely legal to file these lawsuits, even when there's no evidence whatsoever. Michael spent $127,000 in legal fees over 22 months. As the case was eventually dismissed, but those costs were never recovered, and Michael told his attorney that the stress of the lawsuit was worse than any amount of money he lost. Now you might be wondering if there's someone even closer to home who could exploit you, and the answer is going to disturb you. Before I tell you who person number 6 is, I'd really appreciate it if you'd subscribe to this channel and let me know in the comments. If you won the lottery, who would be the first person you'd tell? Your answer might surprise you after you hear this next one. Person number 6. The trusted financial advisor. Former prosecutors call this the betrayal that devastates winners most because this is the person you specifically hired to protect you. Linda, a 53-year-old small business owner from New York, won $22.4 million in 2017. She did everything right. She hired a financial advisor from a prestigious firm, someone with 20 years of experience and impeccable credentials. Over the next 3 years, this advisor embezzled $4.8 million through complex transfers and investments that never actually existed. The advisor created fake investment statements to hide the theft, and Linda only discovered what was happening when she requested a large withdrawal to pay for her daughter's emergency medical surgery. And industry insiders reveal that 18% of lottery winners experience theft or fraud from hired professionals. The average amount stolen by these trusted advisors is $1.2 million. The average timeline from when the theft begins until discovery is 2.5 years, and fiduciary insurance typically covers only 40% of the stolen funds. These people abuse the legitimate professional relationship they've established. They rely on the complexity of financial instruments to make detection difficult. They use technical language to prevent questioning, and they depend on the winner's lack of financial sophistication. The heartbreaking detail in Linda's case was that her daughter's surgery had to be delayed 4 months while funds were recovered through emergency court orders. Linda eventually recovered $3.1 million of the $4.8 million that was stolen, but her advisor received only a 2-year suspension from the industry and faced no criminal charges. And if you think hiring professionals is dangerous, wait until you hear about person number 7. This one is so disturbing that several lottery officials stated they've tried to change laws specifically to protect winners from this threat. Person number 7, your own attorney. This represents the ultimate professional betrayal, and according to State Bar Association records, it's happening more frequently than most people realize. Earlier, I mentioned Linda's devastating discovery about her financial advisor stealing $4.8 million. But here's what happened during her legal battle to recover that money. She had to hire a second attorney because her original attorney, the one she'd hired specifically to protect her assets and set up trusts, had also been stealing from her. Gregory, a 62-year-old retired engineer from Illinois, won $31.5 million in 2016. He hired an attorney who had won awards from the State Bar Association and served on multiple legal ethics committees. This attorney's job was to create a protective trust structure and ensure Gregory's wealth was properly managed and shielded. Over 4 years, this attorney created an incredibly complex web of trusts and legal entities that seemed designed to protect Gregory's assets from creditors, lawsuits, and excessive taxation. The structure actually funneled $6.2 million directly into accounts the attorney controlled. When Gregory's accountant finally noticed irregularities and started asking questions, the attorney claimed the fees were standard for the complexity of the estate work involved. According to state bar disciplinary records from across the country, legal malpractice claims involving lottery winners increased 340% between 2010 and 2020. The average theft by attorneys handling lottery winnings is $2.4 million. Only 31% of these cases result in full recovery of stolen funds, and the attorney disciplinary process takes an average of 3 years to complete. These attorneys exploit attorney-client privilege to prevent outside scrutiny of their actions. They use legal complexity to justify fees that are actually theft. They create a dependent relationship where the winner fears questioning their expertise, and they rely on the assumption that attorneys are automatically trustworthy because of their professional license. The devastating reality in Gregory's case was that he spent $890,000 in legal fees fighting his own attorney. The case lasted 5 years, yet he eventually recovered $3.1 million of the $6.2 million that was stolen, but the attorney received only a 2-year license suspension and faced no criminal charges despite clear evidence of theft. And now for the final person on this list. Person number 8 represents a threat that most winners never see coming until it's too late. And according to federal investigators, this threat has increased more than any other in recent years. This is the tax specialist, and former IRS investigators call this the emerging threat that's destroying lottery winners faster than anything they've seen before. Patricia, a 58-year-old nurse from Michigan, won $18.7 million in 2021. Within 6 weeks of claiming her prize, she was approached by someone claiming to be a tax specialist with expertise in lottery tax optimization. This specialist promised to legally minimize her tax burden through sophisticated strategies that most accountants didn't understand. Yes, the specialist claimed to have worked with dozens of lottery winners and showed Patricia testimonials and case studies that seemed completely legitimate. Patricia paid $2.8 million in fees up front for this specialist to create an offshore trust structure and complex deduction strategies. The entire structure was completely illegal. When the IRS conducted their audit 18 months later, Patricia was informed she owed $7.4 million in additional taxes, penalties, and interest. The tax specialist had disappeared and was later discovered to have been operating under a fake identity. According to the IRS Criminal Investigation Division, tax fraud schemes targeting lottery winners have increased 420% since 2018, as the average victim pays $1.6 million in fraudulent tax optimization fees upfront. The average additional IRS liability discovered after these schemes collapse is $4.2 million, and only 12% of the perpetrators are ever caught. When they are convicted, the average prison sentence is 3 to 5 years, but the victim's money is never recovered because it's been moved offshore or spent. These scammers exploit the winner's legitimate fear of excessive taxation. They use a real concern about tax burden to justify illegal schemes. They create urgency by claiming IRS deadlines are approaching, and they position themselves as saviors fighting against an unfair tax system. The insidious reality is that lottery winnings are actually straightforward from a tax perspective, and legitimate tax professionals charge reasonable flat fees for honest advice. Patricia filed for bankruptcy in 2023. She lost her home, her retirement savings were gone, and most of her jackpot disappeared into legal fees, IRS payments, and the upfront fees she paid to the fake tax specialist. But here's what makes all 8 of these people so dangerous, and why the lottery system itself enables them to destroy winners' lives. Now that you've heard all 8 types of people who target lottery winners, here's what lottery security experts say connects every single one of them. And this pattern reveals why the system is designed to create victims. All 8 of these predators exploit the same vulnerability window, which according to comprehensive research occurs during the first 6 to 12 months after someone wins. And all 8 use legitimate concerns as their entry point, whether that's family obligation, investment growth, romantic companionship, charitable giving, legal protection, financial management, or tax optimization. All 8 systematically isolate winners from objective advisors who might identify the scam. All 8 create artificial urgency to prevent the winner from conducting proper due diligence. And all 8 exploit the winner's complete lack of experience managing large sums of money. According to a comprehensive study conducted by the National Endowment for Financial Education, 70% of lottery winners lose or spend their entire jackpot within 5 years of winning. The average winner faces 4.7 of these 8 threats within the first year after their win becomes public. Winners who face 3 or more of these threats have an 89% chance of complete financial ruin within a decade, and the combined average loss from these 8 types of predators is $3.2 million per winner. The psychological vulnerability that makes this possible is that sudden wealth creates decision-making paralysis and encourages misplaced trust in people who seem to offer solutions. But here's the industry's dark secret that former lottery officials admit enables all of these predators to operate so effectively. 43 states legally require public identification of lottery winners. These public announcements are mandated by law and must occur within 90 to 180 days of claiming the prize. The information released includes the winner's full name, city of residence, the exact amount won, and often a photograph taken during the prize claim ceremony. This creates a publicly searchable database that predators use to identify and target victims. So, why does this system continue when lottery commissions know the statistics about winner victimization? The lottery commissions claim that transparency maintains public trust in the lottery system, but internal documents reveal the real reason. Public announcements of winners with names and photos drive ticket sales because people see real winners and believe they could be next. Industry analysts estimate that winner publicity generates approximately $800 million in additional annual lottery revenue across all state lotteries combined. Legislative attempts to allow winners to remain anonymous have repeatedly failed, and former lottery officials admit this is because lottery commissions lobby against these privacy protections. The cruel irony is that the transparency system designed to prove the lottery's legitimacy actually creates a victim pool for predators to exploit. One former lottery official who spoke to investigators stated that everyone in the industry knows winners become targets. Everyone knows the statistics about victimization and financial ruin, but revenue concerns override winner protection every single time these discussions happen. And here's what makes this even worse, according to recent analysis from cybersecurity firms and victim advocacy groups. Between 2020 and 2024, new threat patterns have emerged that make the original 8 types of predators look almost primitive. A social media surveillance of lottery winners has increased 670% as scammers use facial recognition and data mining to track winners' movements and relationships. Artificial intelligence-powered scams now automatically research a winner's entire background, family structure, employment history, and psychological vulnerabilities before making contact. Coordinated attacks have been documented where multiple predator types work together in planned sequences to maximize the amount they can steal. Deepfake video technology is being used to create fake video calls from family members requesting emergency money transfers. And cryptocurrency scams have been specifically tailored to target lottery winners by exploiting their desire to grow their windfall quickly. The technical sophistication of these newer threats has evolved dramatically. Scammers now use facial recognition software to track winners' public appearances at restaurants, stores, and events. They legally purchase lottery winner data from data brokers who compile and sell this information. They create detailed psychological profiles before ever making contact with the winner, allowing them to customize their approach based on the victim's specific vulnerabilities. Industry insiders who track lottery fraud patterns warn that the threats winners faced in 2015 look primitive compared to what's happening now, and the sophistication level is accelerating so rapidly that protective strategies can't keep pace. The projection is that this situation is going to get significantly worse before any meaningful systemic changes are implemented to protect winners. So, how do you actually protect yourself if you win the lottery? Here's what lottery attorneys and victim advocates recommend based on decades of documented cases. The moment you realize you're holding a winning ticket, sign the back of it immediately, take multiple photographs of both sides, and place it in a safe deposit box at a bank. Do not tell anyone except your spouse if you're married, and even then, some attorneys recommend waiting until you've built your protection team. Do not claim your prize immediately. Every state gives you a claiming window that ranges from 90 days to 1 year, and you should use that time strategically. During this waiting period, they document your current financial situation completely and make a list of every significant relationship in your life because you'll need this baseline when people start emerging with claims about promises or agreements. Building a legitimate protection team requires hiring 3 separate professionals who have never worked together before. You need an attorney who specializes specifically in lottery winners, and you verify their credentials through your State Bar Association website. You need a financial advisor who has a legal fiduciary duty, which means they're required by law to act in your best interest rather than their own. You need an accountant who has no previous connection to either the attorney or the financial advisor. And the reason these 3 professionals cannot have worked together previously is that coordinated professional theft is one of the fastest growing threats to lottery winners. Check the disciplinary records for all 3 professionals through their respective licensing boards and implement a system where any transaction over $10,000 requires approval signatures from at least 2 of these 3 advisors. If your state allows anonymous claiming through a trust or limited liability company, use that option regardless of the additional legal costs involved, because the value of anonymity is worth far more than the setup fees. The moment you claim your prize, change your phone number, and consider temporary relocation to a different city for 3 to 6 months while the initial publicity dies down. And to establish a standard response to every single financial request you receive, something like, "My advisory team reviews all opportunities, and I'll have them contact you if there's interest." Never make any financial decision under time pressure, because urgency is the primary tool that all 8 of these predators use. Document every communication with people requesting money, including the date, time, amount requested, and reason given. Establish clear boundaries with family members before your win becomes public, because waiting until after the announcement makes boundary setting appear cruel or selfish. The single most important rule that lottery attorneys repeat in every winner consultation is to delay every financial decision for a minimum of 90 days after claiming your prize. Yet the sobering reality is that you now know the statistical likelihood of facing each of these 8 threats. 67% of winners are contacted by estranged family members. 43% are approached by fake investment experts. 31% of single winners are targeted by romantic scammers. 89% receive charity solicitations, with 22% being fraudulent. 41% face frivolous lawsuits. 18% experience theft from hired financial professionals. Legal malpractice claims have increased 340% in the past decade. And tax fraud targeting winners has increased 420% since 2018. The statistical reality is that you're likely to face at least 3 of these 8 threats. And one former lottery winner described it perfectly when he said he thought he'd won the lottery, but it turned out he'd just painted a target on his back. The ultimate truth that every lottery attorney will tell you is that the jackpot you actually win isn't the amount printed on the ticket. It's whatever you have left after successfully protecting it from these 8 types of predators. Now you know exactly what these people look like, you understand how they operate, you recognize the psychological manipulation tactics they use, and you have a framework for protecting yourself. This information could save you millions of dollars if you're ever in the position of claiming a major prize. If you found this information valuable, please subscribe to this channel and share this with anyone you know who plays the lottery regularly. Let me know in the comments. Which of these 8 people surprised you the most, or if you've personally witnessed someone being targeted after receiving a windfall of any kind? Your future jackpot might depend on remembering what you learned here today.